You don't realize how fast the door is closing. You can spend years building a cage out of comfort, thinking you have forever to escape. The scariest thing isn't failure. It's waking up at 40 and realizing you've been living someone else's life. I've seen this destroy too many lives. People waiting for a right time that never arrives. They trade their fire for a paycheck and their soul for a predictable weekend. Let me be brutally honest with you. If you don't master these lessons by 40, 82% of your potential isn't just hidden, it's lost forever. If you keep tolerating this mediocrity, you'll wake up at 50 with nothing but a mountain of regret. But here's the one decision that can still save your future. It starts with acknowledging the most painful truth of all. Because the first thing you need to realize is that the clock isn't just ticking. It's laughing at your excuses. Stop acting like you have an infinite supply of focus. By 40, your biological clock isn't just a metaphor, it's a budget. If you spend your best hours arguing with strangers online or fixing people who don't want to be saved, you are committing slow motion suicide. I've watched talented men and women burn out because they couldn't say no to trivial things. The consequence is simple. You'll have the wisdom to succeed, but no longer the vitality to execute. If you keep bleeding your energy into these black holes, you'll be too exhausted to build your own kingdom when the opportunity finally strikes. But here's the shift that separates the winners from the husks. The most dangerous mistake isn't the one you make once. It's the one you keep repeating every single day because it feels safe. The world is trying to sedate you. Most people think making it means reaching a point where they no longer have to struggle. That is a lie. The moment you stop seeking discomfort is the moment you start to rot. I've seen people reach their late 30s and stop growing because they finally got the comfortable job and the nice house. They stopped learning, stopped sweating, and started surviving. The consequence? Their mind becomes a museum of who they used to be. If you stay in this bubble, you'll be obsolete before your kids graduate high school. But here is the hard truth that will put you ahead of the remaining 18%. Because the most expensive thing you can own is a mind that is afraid of a new challenge. You think your bank account defines you, but you're wrong. Your character is the only thing that opens doors when the world is trying to slam them shut. If you've spent your 30s cutting corners, breaking promises, or playing office politics to get ahead, you've built a house on sand. I've seen people lose everything, money, status, power, and get it all back because their word was gold. And I've seen millionaires die lonely because they burned every bridge they ever crossed. If you lose your integrity now, no amount of success will ever fix the smell of a rotten soul. If you keep lying to yourself and others, you'll find yourself in a crisis with no one willing to pick up the phone. But here's the one standard that will make you unfuckwithable. Because the truth is, the world doesn't care about your intentions. It only cares about your track record. You talk too much. You feel the need to explain your plans, your dreams, and your justifications to anyone who will listen. But the more you talk, the less you do. Every time you announce a goal, your brain gets a cheap hit of dopamine as if you've already achieved it. I've seen dozens of visionaries die broke because they spent their 30s talking about what they were going to do. The consequence of a loud mouth is a hollow life. You leak your energy through your lips instead of pouring it into your hands. If you keep seeking validation from people who haven't even figured out their own lives, you'll never find the strength to lead yours. But here is the discipline that will actually turn your dreams into reality. because the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest, while the most dangerous man is the one who has mastered the art of being invisible until it's time to strike. Stop trying to finish a book that is boring, and stop staying in a career or a relationship that is dead. We've been brainwashed to believe that quitting is a failure, but the most expensive thing you can spend is your time on something that no longer serves your future. I've seen people waste 20 years in a toxic marriage or a dead-end job because they didn't want to throw away the history. The consequence, they didn't just lose the past, they threw away their future to pay for it. If you keep honoring your past mistakes with your current time, you'll be an old man mourning a life you never actually lived. But here is the mindset shift that will liberate you from your own history. Because the hardest bridge to burn is the one that leads back to the person you used to be. You've been treating your body like it's a rental car you can just return at the end of the trip. But by 40, the bill for every late night, every processed meal, and every skipped workout starts coming due with high interest. You think you're grinding, but you're actually just borrowing minutes from your old age that you'll never be able to pay back. I've seen high performers reach the pinnacle of their careers only to spend their entire fortune trying to buy back the health they sacrificed to get there. The consequence, you'll finally have the money to see the world, but you'll be viewing it from a hospital bed or a wheelchair. If you keep ignoring the signals your body is sending you today, you'll be a prisoner in your own skin tomorrow. But here is the one habit that ensures you actually get to enjoy the empire you're building. Because the most tragic irony of life is a man who builds a mountain of gold, only to realize he's too weak to climb it. The biggest delusion of your 30s is the belief that eventually someone, a mentor, a partner, or the government, will step in and fix your mess. They won't. The universe is indifferent to your struggle. Your parents are getting older, your friends are busy with their own fires, and the rescue team you're waiting for doesn't exist. I've seen people sit in the waiting room of life until their hair turned grey, hoping for a lucky break that they never bothered to create. The consequence of this passivity is a slow, quiet descent into bitterness and resentment toward a world that owed you something it never promised. If you keep waiting for permission to be great, you'll spend your final years wondering why the world passed you by. But here's the realization that turns a victim into a conqueror, because the moment you accept that you are entirely responsible for your life is the moment you finally become free. You are the average of the 5 people you tolerate. If you're 40 and still hanging out with people who complain about the government, talk about their glory days in high school, or get drunk every weekend, you've already hit your limit. Low-value friends aren't just a waste of time. They are an anchor on your ambition. I've seen brilliant minds dimmed by the shadow of mediocre peers. They stayed loyal to people who didn't want them to succeed because it made their own failures look worse. The consequence, you'll start to speak their language, think their thoughts, and eventually share their regrets. If you keep prioritizing fitting in over leveling up, you'll die a copy of someone who never mattered. But here is the ruthless cut you must make to survive, because it's better to walk alone toward the light than to walk in a crowd toward a cliff. You think you're a perfectionist, but you're actually just a coward. You use planning and researching as a shield to hide from the fear of being judged. But while you're waiting for all the lights to turn green before you start your journey, the person who is willing to get dirty and fail fast has already lapped you 10 times. I've seen geniuses die with their best work still locked inside their heads because it wasn't ready yet. The consequence is the most painful kind of ghost. The ghost of the work you were supposed to give the world. If you keep waiting for a perfect version of yourself to show up, you'll be buried in a casket full of almosts and could have beens. But here's the messy truth that will finally launch you forward. Because a finished, flawed product is worth infinitely more than a perfect idea that never left your mind. You're too proud to be a beginner. By 40, you think you should already have all the answers. You're afraid that asking for help or admitting you're wrong will make you look weak. But that pride is a prison. It stops you from learning the very skills you need to survive the next decade of your life. I've seen successful men go bankrupt because they were too arrogant to pivot when the market changed. They clung to their old methods like a captain going down with a sinking ship, simply because they couldn't admit they were wrong. The consequence: they lost everything just to protect an image that didn't even exist. If you keep protecting your ego instead of your future, you'll be the king of a graveyard. But here's the final realization that changes the game entirely. Because the man who loves learning more than his own reputation is the only one who truly becomes unstoppable. The biggest lie you've ever told yourself is that you're not ready yet. You've spent this entire video looking for a sign, a spark, or a reason to finally move. Well, this is it. 82% of your potential is on the line. Every minute you spend scrolling, every day you spend thinking it over, and every year you spend in that comfortable cage is a debt you are charging to your future self. I don't care if you're 30, 40, or 50. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Stop being a spectator in your own life. If you're ready to stop losing and start building, I want you to comment the word unstoppable below. It's a contract with yourself. Don't let another decade slip through your fingers. The clock is ticking. What are you going to do about it?